Okay, let's talk about some ideas for using the hub for fundraising. This does not need to be something that you spent money on, although you didn't spend very much money on it. But you could actually use this hub to generate funds for your coalition. Okay, the number one way to do that is through sponsored adventures. Go to a local business and invite them to sponsor a specific adventure inside the hub. And then on that hub that they sponsor, then they're going to be acknowledged. You know, a huge thank you to business ABC for sponsoring this adventure. Okay, maybe the adventure has something to do with what they are, you know, with their business. Maybe it doesn't have anything to do with their business. It doesn't matter, but they can sponsor that adventure and absolutely let them choose, which is necessarily what it is. But do become familiar with that. But this is a great way to generate ongoing income for your hub or for your coalition. Okay, you could create a digital recognition page inside the hub. Okay, so for example, an adventure that lists your sponsors. Okay, and we can show you how to do that if that's something that you want to do. This would be basically an adventure that they do not complete. Okay, so it's worth 0 points, but it stays right there on the hub and lists all of your sponsors. So you're basically creating a recognition wall, digital honor roll within the hub to recognize all of your sponsors. Okay, you could have a community champion tiered sponsorships, okay, and invite some of the larger businesses have to contribute, you know, larger amounts. One of the things that we're doing here in Brigham is actually giving the businesses an opportunity to choose the amount that they want to contribute, because that's going to be different. I mean, different businesses, you have your big businesses where, you know, donating $500 is nothing. And then you have, I mean, for a small business, $500 is a lot. Okay, but they could, you know, donate $100 or $50. So however you choose to do that, getting businesses and, you know, organizations to sponsor adventures, or, you know, or like you can drop an adventure in. Maybe they have an activity going on that they want you to let the community know about, you know, a big family fair or whatever. And there could be a cost for doing that, just like they would pay to have it put in the newspaper. They can contribute to the hub to get that word out. Banks and credit unions are very good contributors to the community. So check with your banks and your credit unions and see, you know, see what they, and find out, I mean, who in your community likes to promote strong families, and ask them to help sponsor your hub. And basically in sponsoring your hub, they're supporting your hub. They are supporting your coalition, because then that funding can go to run other coalition activities. Donation-based participation option. Okay, include an optional support the hub donation adventure with a link or QR code for families who want to contribute. Yeah, that's an option. Okay. You want to make it, for me, everything we do needs to be available to every family at no cost. So make sure that it's very clear that this is optional. Okay. But there are families out there that would want to support the hub. I guess just to share just very briefly why I say that. There was a time in my life as a single mother, I could not have supported the hub or any type of anything. I mean, my whole focus was on, let's make sure these kids have a roof over their head, food in their mouths, and you know, and I couldn't even, you know, even $5 or $10, which was, you know, a lot more than it is today. But you know, even $5 or $10 was just not something that, as a single mother, I needed to really focus on the other. Okay, now I love giving kind of to make up for that. Okay. So yes, so you may find if you were to put a link out there, okay, the Cheryl Lee 20 years ago when I was raising my kids, has it been 20 years? It hasn't been 20 years. But that Cheryl Lee could not have contributed. And we need to make sure that everything we do is free and available to every family, including the Shirley of, 15 years ago. Okay. The Shirley today would look at that and say, yay, here's my opportunity to give back for those who contributed back in the day while I was raising my kids so that I could raise my kids. Now I am happy for an opportunity to contribute today so that I can help someone who is there. Hopefully that made a little bit of sense to you. Community kickoff event fundraiser. You could host a launch night with ticket sales, drawings, okay? Drawing baskets, silent auction items, or food sales here in Utah. Never, ever, ever call it a raffle, people. They are drawings. Yeah. Drawing baskets, silent auction items, food sales. Use the hub as the anchor experience and the event as a fundraising boost. Okay, you could have a matching gift campaign. Secure one larger sponsor willing to match community donations up to a certain amount, and then publicly track the progress to build urgency on momentum. And that could be really fun. You've seen these again. You think about it, pretty much any fundraising activity that you've done anywhere else could also work with this, using the hub kind of as because again, you've got the data, and we're going to talk about the data and how to use your data. But this hub is going to give you amazing data that you can go to people and say, look, we have X number of families that are completing X number of adventures every week. And these are the results. And here's what families are saying, because there's a way we can drop adventures in there to find out the impact that it's having. So it's going to give you great, great data for that. We talked about the matching gift campaign, annual renewal or expansion campaign, again, particularly with your businesses, okay? As the year progresses, you can provide, this data to the businesses that are supporting your adventures or your hub, and invite them to continue with that support. So then the corporate or foundation grants use, again, the participation data and testimonials from the hub to apply for local grants focused on the civic engagement, youth development, community strengthening. And then, a sponsored service challenge. So partner with a local company to underwrite a service week or special challenge, again, that can be delivered directly via this hub. Is going to give you a way to deliver all of your content, whatever it is you're doing, you can deliver straight to families' phones. Okay, now instead of every time you have an activity, you're having to start over to get the word out, and you're like, okay, now, okay, in April, we're doing this activity. Let's start promoting on social media, and let's, send out the letters, and, let's do each time you do that, okay, you're going to do that the first time, and you're going to get, 100 families connected. Okay. And then for the next event, now you've got 100 families. You can just send that notification to them right there. It shows up on their phone. And then of course you still continue to work with your sponsors and, get the information, and you reach another 100 families. And now you have 200 families that you have a direct line to, straight from your hub to their phone. And so after time, it gets to where you have the families directly connected. You're directly communicating with 1,000 families before you even start doing any of the other promotion that you normally. So these are just some different ideas on ways that you can use your hub for fundraising. Hey, let's get the most from it. You've got a great deal on this hub, but there's no reason that you shouldn't use a great deal. Just because you didn't pay very much for it doesn't mean that you shouldn't use it to its fullest capacity. Let's build an ongoing source of income for your coalition, and an ongoing way to support your coalition. And again, if you have other ideas that we didn't think about, feel free to share. Thanks.